I stood side by side with her. I've had people out there. I had troops go visit her and do the things they had to do. So we're making it go forward. So 372, put your hands up, get a round of applause for doing what you do every day for Chantel Jackson and Michael Blake in the Bronx. Give it up for the Bronx. So, and also I want to make sure the executive board, I see there's a lot of executive board here, staff, everybody. Welcome everybody to everybody as a whole. I just want to say one thing real quick. I get a lot of calls, and I'm not gonna be too long-winded, Denise, don't worry. I get a lot of calls about union activity out on rallies and stuff like that's going on right now. I'm hearing that they don't see a lot of union out there as much, right? But let me say this, as the president of DC 37 and of 372, I made it known to the council as well that we got to be careful of the moves we make. Understand this, if I put a flyer out there that says DC 37 or 372, bringing our peoples out there, in that element, two folds. The pandemic's still out there going on, and people are getting hurt because people they're not just peaceful protesting, they're rallying in a different manner. So I don't want to be on our responsibility to say, oh, the local brought me out here, the council brought us out here. The next thing you know, we're responsible for the actions that took place that you got involved in. Whether it be the arrest, whether it be whatever case may be, you got hit with a smoke bomb or smoke thing, bullets, or whatever case may be, however it may be, or with the pandemic, you catch COVID-19. And that's not going to be on our head. So individually, though, I would applaud everybody to individually on your own accord. If you want to go out there and do what you do, that's on you. That's on your liability. I don't feel that the unions should be responsible for that matter because there's a lot of opposition out there that don't like unions, and they will do anything they can to try to destroy us. Okay, so not to say that we're not in the movement. Oh, we're 100% in the movement now. I don't want to get everybody twisted here. Oh, we're 100% totally in the movement. Okay, but at the same time, we got to make sure that we do it right and plan correctly to make sure that we put everybody in a safe place. Always remember, safety first, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, it's always safety first. All right? Denise, that's what I wanted to say, guys. I don't want to be too long-winded because I can keep on going because a lot of things is always pending in my brain that could be out there. But yeah, Denise, thank you so much. Appreciate the platform. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So I'm going to go with Donald now. So Donald, please. I know you had some things you wanted to share today. Donald?
What about that? You can speak now. You're unmuted.
Donald, you were going to talk a little bit about the COVID.
Now you're muted that.
And the June 23rd primary. He's muted.
Okay.
Who unmutes him?
James.
James, could you unmute Donald? This is our first political action meeting, Zooming.
Virtual.
So we're working through it.
It's okay.
Let's see.
Well, in the meantime.
Yeah. So
right.
In the meantime, we do in fact have a lot going on. And Donald was going to talk a little bit about the June 23rd primary elections. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move right into our introductions. And we have 3 guest panelists. I feel that we only have Chantel with us right now. However, I am very excited about hearing her. So I'm going to say a few words about her because I have a paper here. Because wow, she does a lot. So Welcome, Chantel.
Hi, everybody.
So Chantel is a native New Yorker and candidate for the New York State Assembly for the 79th District in the South Bronx. She is a dedicated member of the community, deeply connected and engaging in work which is selfless and life-changing. She is a proud UFT member and social worker at a New York City public high school, college professor, and published author. Chantel believes that her WHEN WIN, her Wellness, Housing, Education Now mission will genuinely and totally transform her district into an even more healthy and wealthy community of the 62 counties in New York State. The Bronx holds the title as the unhealthiest county. Chantel wants to reduce high rates of diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and asthma by addressing the environmental factors that are the causes of these issues. She wants to properly fund mental health services and increase insurance for uninsured and underinsured people. When it comes to housing, she wants to continue creating affordable housing, lower evictions, and increase home ownership. Chantel wants to make sure the neediest school districts receive the funding owed to them by the New York State. Yes, so we're going to hear from Chantel, and I am going to begin by asking her a question that we might pose to everybody. And if you have any questions, audience, please use the chat. We have somebody monitoring the chat, and they will deliver the questions, and we'll get them done, okay? You hear that you're reading the message. So the first question I'm going to ask, since we know that there's so much going on, Chantel, right now in the world. I mean, so do you think the state of the country right now will have an impact on voting, and what can you do to affect that change?
So thank you, Denise, for that question. Hello to my local 372 family. I'm rocking my shirt. I'm ready. I'm always ready, because if I stay ready.
Stay ready. You ain't gotta get ready.
Here we go, baby. Hold on. So
Okay.
There you go. That's what's up. That's what we do.
You all the way ready.
So look, I'm ready. I'm not gonna wear it for long, but look, the question was about the state of the country and the state of our state. How is it gonna affect voting and what we plan to do about it? I just want you guys to know that we are all able to vote by absentee. And so I have been working with my community, getting them their absentee ballot applications by helping them apply online if they have not received it in the mail. We are not waiting for the Board of Elections to send them their ballots. We're actually helping the community by taking my laptop outside and my tablets outside with a hotspot and just registering people to receive their absentee ballots. I'm also working with Assemblyman Blake and our state senators to make sure people have transportation or know how to get to their polling site. So we're not waiting for anyone to tell us what to do and how to do it. We're just out here taking action. We're in a rough state, and I don't want to hear that people didn't know or couldn't figure it out and couldn't get to their polling place. We're going to make sure that they get the absentee ballot they wanted, but if they want to vote at the polls, we're going to make sure they have access to it and they know where to go.
So Chantel, just a little follow-up on what we have something, I think in Georgia, they just had this election, and everything you said is really good with us on our side, making sure that we're set up. But is there any way that we can avoid such things as the polls being closed, the machines not working? I mean, all of these things that happened just recently in Georgia, they were standing on lines for 2 hours, and then when they finally got up there, the machines weren't working. How do we avoid that?
Right. So I just want you to know Amanda is here with us. She is here, so I don't want you to think that she's not.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, she's here. That's my sister there. So how do we avoid it? I just want you to know that I actually did work for the Board of Elections way back when I was like 18, just started voting. And back when we had to like click the vote and pull the lever. And back then our machines were broken, right? And so now we moved on to this paper ballot, which you slip into a machine. The last election, we had broken machines. And what we've been doing is giving people the phone number to call when the machines are not working. So I'll make sure that that number is available to people, but voter suppression is real. It does happen. You know, I've seen and heard some really terrible stories about voter suppression. And the only thing that we can do is be as proactive as we possibly can, disseminate as much information as possible, and stay in line. If you have decided to wait until election day to vote, stay in line. That's the only thing that I can say at this point. Make the call to the Board of Election if the machines aren't working, but stay in line, cast your vote, because they want you to not vote. Amanda,
No,
So I
you're
wanna,
100% spot on. I was just gonna say I'm jealous because I don't have nearly as much swag as you do. So I'm lodging a formal complaint. But no, I think that's 100% right. I think that there is an interest in not voting. And I think it's interesting that you bring up Georgia, because I think when we think about voter suppression, we think about these places in the country that are like deeply Republican. But it actually happens in places like New York too. Because in places where it's deeply Republican, some of those people in power have the same interests as some of the people in power here, which is to keep things the way they are. And you mentioned the state of the world, and coronavirus has really driven home for me, and I think a lot of people in my community, the fact that we're in this place because of policies that have not been working, because the things that our communities have been saying need to be prioritized, need to be worked on, haven't been. And so this is the sort of the conversation that we've been having with people during this cycle, saying, you know, we're in this kind of mess because the work hasn't been happening as hard as it needs to, and we need to step up to make sure that that changes.
right. So I don't want to slight Amanda, so I really do have a little that I want to say about you as well.
Oh, sure.
So,
No, thank you.
Thank you so much. So Amanda is running for New York State Assembly because she's a proven advocate who actually lives in the South Bronx. Amanda takes the neglect of this community personal. And her first order of business will be fighting to make sure her district family gets its fair share of funding.
leadership can and will do for us. And so I think that now more than ever, with our mayor and our governor and all our elected officials, we see who we've elected and who's with us and who's not. We see who's defunding education, who's defunding healthcare during a pandemic, who's flat funding, because flat funding is defunding as well, because cost goes up every year. So for me, it's extremely important for us to use this moment, this movement that we have, and just continue to go with the leadership that we see are out on the front lines fighting for us. And Michael Blake, myself, Amanda, all those people for you guys.
Michael? He's muted.
There we go. What up, everybody? What's going on? I am Mr. President. Good to see you, my leader, always.
That's up, baby. Always, baby.
I feel like I'm seeing Sean like every day right now. That makes me feel good. I
That's
feel like I
all
got to
good.
pay some union dues right now.
They'll take
And to everybody, to Jock, to Jackie, to Denise, everyone, just much love. Lynette, everybody, thank you. You all has always rocked with me. I see my leader, Donald. Donald got on the cap and the yellow, so I know it's a serious meeting right now. And for those asking to make contributions, it's easiest to do it through the link I just gave, if you can in that way. Let me get straight to this here. And I'm just showing some quick love. I'm here to show you love, and I'm actually about to do a Roland Martin interview, given everything we've done in the last 48 hours. So first, I want everyone to vote in 13 days if not earlier, for Chantel Jackson to succeed me. And I want to make sure in November you vote for Amanda in 84th, and making that clear directly. We have and do endorse both candidates, and it's important for us to demonstrate that support. It's not just about us winning one race, it's about us winning all these races. I mentioned this briefly to Chantel. Chantel out here going for the win. She's wearing her hat now. Okay. So, and this will, I'm on family talk, but private conversation for a quick second, and then dive on in. So the New York One is going to air a debate tomorrow night. We actually recorded it today. And they had myself, Richie Torres, Samelis, Edonis, and Melissa. And every person got to ask one question of another candidate. Right? And my question, Mr. President, VP, I asked Richie very directly. I said, Richie, you have had a history of attacking Black women. You weren't with Tish. You weren't with Shola. You took money from a man that sided with the KKK over Andrea Stewart Cousins. And as you will see in the debate tomorrow, he did not deny any of the facts I laid out. His one question to me was to attack Chantel Jackson. How could you be supporting this candidate who has these stances? And he was trying to take this nonsensical hit piece that I've already countered. And I said, I think the only person that needs extra support in healthcare is Richie Torres, because he has a problem with the facts right now. I'm saying it to say, as we've watched in the last 16 days, everybody, what happened with George Floyd, and before that, Breonna Taylor, and before that, with Ahmaud Arbery, what we saw last weekend in Brooklyn, where the cops drove into the crowds, and we've seen over and over again. I am sick and damn tired of people telling Black folk, telling all these communities of color, we believe in you. Go vote for me. We'll have your back. But they won't stand with us when we need them. And we have an opportunity. We're excited. Carib News endorsed us today. So another endorsement to add to the list. We are preparing for a significant endorsement that will be announced hopefully in the next 48 hours. We rolled out our first mail piece. Our second one should be hitting today, digital program, et cetera. But I want to say this to everybody. I think all of us can agree on this point. A lot of folks don't even know an election is coming. Right? So all these things we've been all doing. And because people have been battling coronavirus, battling the economic pandemic, battling what's going on with police brutality. And Local 372, I not only say thank you for endorsing us and for believing in us, but I'm saying if you want us to win, we got to run through the tape for the next 13 days. Right? While we in the last 40 hours repealed 58 and passed the Andrew Kearse Act so that there had to be medical assistance provided when a law officer gets engaged, move forward on creating the Office of Special Prosecutor within the AG's office, the STAT Act, so you actually have transparency on the day. All these major things we've been talking about. But in the quiet on Sunday, a lot of people may not realize this, that the governor signed an executive order that instead of absentee ballots being able to be returned on the 22nd, absentee ballots now can be postmarked until Election Day. It's a major change. And so there literally is no excuse why someone doesn't vote now. You can vote by mail. You can vote early starting this Saturday. Or you can go in person, socially distant on the 23rd. And what we need is, we need people to make phone calls for us in our congressional district and the 79th, for us in our congressional district and 84th for Amanda. And throughout the other districts, I'm asking that you will contribute anything you can for each of our campaigns. And I'm asking that we really mobilize. We got 16 unions who've endorsed my campaign now. 40 elected officials. We got a chance to do something special. So to your core question, and Amanda and Chantel are far smarter than I. So I'm gonna let them do what they need to do, and I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm a smart man. Just say what you got to say and then get out. Right? We have seen in the last 16 days that when people mobilize, things happen. And now we got to finish the deal. And that means through elections. It means through elections. Last week, I know some of y'all saw Martin Luther King III endorsed my campaign last week and said very clearly that, democracy is the next level of being on the front lines. It's the elements of what we got to talk through. So, we have a chance to do something special here in the Bronx, but we can only do this with you. So I'm asking if you're willing to come through with those yellow jackets. People know when the yellow jackets show up, or the blue ones with the yellow lettering. It's either or, right? We're doing visibility, we're doing phone calls, we're doing those pieces, but we're asking for you to help us along the journey. Blake for Congress at NYC is our website. Incredibly proud of everyone. And I want to keep making more people aware of our criminal justice efforts. So Denise and everyone, please excuse me. I had to come show love, President Francois, VP Nesbitt, and everybody at this point. Everything you've done for me, that's what I had to do for you.
Appreciate that, brother. No, totally appreciate that. As you know, it takes all of us to make it happen. All right, we can't do it, like I said earlier, we can't do it by ourselves. But what I like about you guys, what I like about the elected officials that I deal with, I call them friendlies, right? The thing about that is, just like we complete the code blue silence with the officers, right? You heard about that? They're together, they're partners. They don't want to tell each other. They don't want to to see somebody doing wrong. They don't want to point it out. They want to give them passes all the time, right? So excuse me. So a lot of elected officials do the same thing. They work with their colleagues. They work side by side with their colleagues. They know the colleagues ain't doing right. Don't get me wrong. I don't just let people freak out. They let people know, no. You're doing wrong. They say regardless. Because he ain't for the people. So what I want to make sure that you guys understand too is that, and that's what say you guys, because you guys are on point with it. But there's a lot of elected officials out there that know another elected official doing wrong, and they still piggyback on it, or they won't mingle in to make it right for the people to see. You'll say that you're wrong. I'm sorry, you can disagree with people. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with people. I sit this down all the time, brother. If you and I agree all the time, something is wrong. Something is wrong here. We're not going to agree all the time. Me and Donald go out all the time. We have different mindsets. But to say he's wrong or I'm wrong, no. We have different avenues sometimes that we go. You might want to take Tremont Avenue. I'm going to take White Plains. It doesn't matter. I'm getting to the same spot. You know what I'm saying? However we go. You know what I'm saying? So it's your preference. You might like stop signs. I might like lights. Everybody's different. So what I want to say to you guys is that I just want to keep the guys, make sure you guys understand that we're going to hold feet to the fire like we've always done to make sure that we are getting the services rendered as the services are being put out there as well. And you guys have been doing that so far, Blake. Blake, you and I go way back now. You know what I'm saying, since I started pretty much in this president seat, you've been there. You know what I mean? So you had me at hello. You know that. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just saying that we just can keep it going and keep the relationship going between the unions and the elected officials, because it's very important, because we need bills to be passed, and you guys are the ones that are lawmakers. So, and Chantel, believe me, I will be in Albany. We will be in Albany. You're going to see us there on a regular basis. So we'll be up there lobbying and doing our thing up there. So just want to say thank you guys for what you guys do. Man, thank everybody for doing what you guys doing. And this is a new team. Let's understand. This is a new team here, guys. Look at a lot of that old school stuff is kind of like coming to fruition. We're coming up. You know what I'm saying? The guys are, you know what I'm saying? Not I can say millennials, because you guys are older than that, but I'm just saying to you guys, but maybe not, because still millennials. Okay, but I'm saying that, but it's coming up. The people are coming to a place where we need to be. The torch has been passed. Okay, the torch has been passed. Let's use the torch. Let's do what we got to do. Move forward, and keep going, moving full speed ahead. All right.
Beautiful.
Appreciate you
Much
guys,
love.
buddy. Appreciate
Thank you, Mr. President. So real quick, because I'm kind of being told to move on, but real quick, I just needed to, I wanted to address the very, I think it's probably a difficult scenario, but this situation with PBA Lynch, where the police attacked the young lady and pushed her to the curb, and then he got on TV and he says that we're so ready to put this police in jail, and then when we have our looters, we don't want to put our looters in jail. How do you address the way he came out with that statement? Everybody familiar with that statement, Lynch, the PBA?
Like, you want to talk about that since your opponent was.
And I mean, you don't have to talk a lot about it, but that is definitely something that we as a Black people, or as a Black Lives Matter, Black Jobs Matter, Black Everything Matters, it is definitely something that needs to be addressed, I think.
If I may start it off, I'm saying first of all, he's racist. First of all, he's a racist pig. Second of all, he has no manners. Third of all, he don't need to be in the position he's in. Fifth of all, if we can oust him out of there, that'd be the best thing to do. Okay, because he's not looking at the whole as a city, as the members. He's looking at his own interests. That's it. That's how he is. He's always been that
Well,
way.
he just spoke about this off. I'm trying to figure out why he's only speaking about this officer with all the stuff that has been happening, and officers have been coming at Black and brown people.
He spoke up before, Denise. He spoke up many times about issues. A lot of times. This is the first time he's speaking up. This man has always spoken up about nonsense when it comes down to his officers. Don't get me wrong. He's a union president. You're supposed to protect your members. Don't get me wrong. That's what your job is there. That's what they put you there for. But when you do that, there's a way to do it. I mean, I'm a union leader myself, so I understand being a union leader, how it works. But his perspective is he's not doing the right thing by it. He's not in the right perspective of how to go along to do it. Why do you notice that every time he has a crowd behind him, where are the Black and brown people?
Yep.
Exactly.
Where are the Black and brown people in that ride? Even with the other officer association behind him. Talk about where's the respect that? Where's the brown people behind you? I don't see nothing behind you at all. Who are you speaking to? You're speaking to yourselves again. So
Absolutely. My 30 seconds, and then we'll jump. Pat Lynch, he's a clown. He's a racist. I've had many battles with him. And as it relates to specifically us, the PBA endorsed Ruben Diaz Sr. in my race. And I just mean very clear that when people see the name Ruben Diaz, it is not his son. It is the father, because he's trying to confuse people. And I think it says a lot in this environment that you're willing to take the endorsement of the PBA, given all that they have stood for and stood against. And it's disrespectful to all of our communities. When I say Black, it's not just African-American. It's African-American, it's Latinos, Caribbean, all of us. And the racist garbage we're seeing is unacceptable. But on that happy note, I love you all. And we're going to elect Chantel in 13 days, and we're going to elect the man in November, and we're going to bring it home for ourselves as well because of you.
Yeah.
Turn it over to Chantel.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I wanted Michael to speak because his opponent was endorsed by the PBA, and they don't represent us. When you looked at him on that press conference, who did you see behind him? A bunch of white men. And our officers are majority of people of color. And so they don't speak for us. They don't even speak for their own officers. And I just want you guys to also realize that when the police have misconducts and they are being reprimanded, it is the officers of color who have the highest levels of the reprimands, right? It's also the officers who friendly fire. You guys know friendly fire, like when officers are hit by a bullet that was not meant for them or whatever. It is the officers of color that experience this. So even within their own organization, they are experiencing institutional racism, right? So I don't know what he was trying to get at. I don't want to give him too much credit. All I know is that we have to do our work. we have to continue to infiltrate all systems at all levels. So I'm not going to discourage people from being officers, but I'm saying people that look like us and represent us need to be the officers that's out there, especially the ones in the higher positions that can speak for us. They don't represent us.
Yeah,
Amanda?
I obviously I second everything that Chantel and Michael just said. But I also think that something alarming has been happening, and I don't know if you've noticed this. This is before his statement, but in that same realm, I've seen people calling for disbanding some of the police unions, and I think that we certainly have a long way to go, and he shouldn't be in the position that he's in. I agree with Mr. President; he shouldn't be there, and we need somebody who does speak for our community and who does represent officers that look like us. But you're getting into a really dangerous place when you start to say things like disband unions. And like Sean was saying before, there are so many people who are enemies of unions that what we can't allow is this insanely bad actor to take over the space and make it seem like, oh, wow, this is why we can't have unions. This is why unions are bad, because that's exactly what people who hate unions will do. And so that's also, I think, part of the nuanced conversation that we need to have even with our allies. And I've had that conversation with a lot of allies. It's like, yeah, all of the things that are happening right now are wrong. Workers still need unions, period, right? Workers still need protections. And those issues can exist at the same time. And we can work on those issues at the same time without punishing rank and file, without combining these issues that really don't exist in the same space. And so 100% agree that, we need representation. We need it to be better. And I think the reason he's hammering home is because tensions are really high and things look really bad. And like Sean was saying, he's their president, and that's, what he's there to do.
Right.
But I just wish that we all lived in a world where we could disagree with each other and where we could admit when we make mistakes. I think we all need to get more comfortable saying, you know what, we screwed up and we're going to be better next time. And that is certainly something that NYPD needs to learn. And luckily we are out here protesting to make sure that they learn it.
The only
Thank
issue
you.
is if your disagreement is an oppression to me, I'm not going to stand for it. We ain't going to agree to disagree if your disagreement is straight oppressing my life. So I think that's the only concern that I have. We can disagree, but when it causes oppression for me and people that look like me, we're not just going to take that sitting down.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's, we're welcoming Donald. We waited patiently, so we want to hear from our Executive Vice President.
So I know I'm supposed to address some things. Good evening, everyone. I heard Denise's question, and so I have to say this. They say when you have a seat at the table in front of people, you have to say something or get up from the table, right? I'll start out with a quote from Malcolm X, right? I want people to stay woke. And so I'm going to start out with this quote from Malcolm X, which I know my brother Jock, I saw him here, he'll appreciate this, right? Malcolm X said, I will never say that progress is being done. If you stick me with a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, that's not progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. Progress is when the wound is healed from where it was made. And so I want people to stay conscious that even with some of these groundbreaking pieces of legislation that are being put together, remember, these things have been on the table for quite some years, right? And we have to keep pushing. We have to stay diligent. We have to keep fighting. We have to get to the root of what racism is, right, in this country. This is not something that we're going to fix. It has been in the culture of this country for over 400 years, right? It is institutionalized and systematically entrenched in everything that even we do, right, every day. I don't want to get deep into that because I'm really passionate about what's going on. I'm raising 4 Black young men. And for me, the conversations that we've been having, and even my daughter, we've been having conversations, and all of them are staying conscious as to what's going on in society. And I'm glad that Denise is having courage to even address these things at this meeting, because people are shying away from these topics. And guess what? We have to be in a position where we are not afraid to lose everything that we got in order to do what's right.
Yeah.
And I want to say congratulations to Amanda, and congratulations to Chantel, and congratulations to Michael Blake, right? We have to speak those things into existence. They will be elected to office. They will be making change in the state of New York. And for Michael nationally, we need to believe that. We also need to, there's responsibility that is given to us, because I know Denise has some things that she wants me to speak about. So I'm going to get into that. And I'm here to tell you, Local 372, that we have to complete our census. Took me less than 5 minutes to do. We have to complete our census. We look at our local where workers were essential workers and on the front lines. And what are we dealing with now? We also hear conversations of layoffs, right? We have conversations of budget discussions. When those kind of things are even in a discussion for people who are provided frontline service, it shouldn't. And I say frontline service not only for the essential workers, but I say also for non-essential workers who are doing essential work. Let's be clear. We have people who are working from home who, if they weren't there providing that service, some of our families will be lost.
That's
Some of our
right.
children will be lost, right? We have to speak to what it is, right? But when they're in a discussion for frontline budget cuts, we have to speak to what it is. We have to make sure that we complete our census. We have to make sure that we vote people into office who are going to represent our values and not break off from their values once they're in office. Like President Francois said, we will be in Albany often. So Amanda, get used to seeing us. Chantel, get used to seeing us. We also go to DC. So for Brother Blake, we will be there, right?
Yes.
We stay in our friends' face as much as we stay in those who we know are our oppressors' face. We make sure that we're loudly heard in the hallways of Albany. But I know that you two will do well. And that's why us supporting you is like a no-brainer. We will be there for you. These members who are on the line will be volunteering with Local 372 to make some phone calls for you to make sure that we see it all the way through. President Francois, myself, we make phone calls too. We're not in a leadership position where we get too high where we think we're above anyone else. We get them sheets together. We knock on doors when we were able to. We knock on doors. We make phone calls. We go out to the sites to make sure that people coming in person know who the best candidates are. And with that, because I know we have more to this meeting, I'm going to yield the mic back to Denise for further discussion. If there are any other questions.
Actually, I don't know if James was going to do it. I wanted to do that article from the New York Times. I wanted you to address that.
Yes.
Speak about the people that didn't vote. Remember?
Yes, I would like you to all to address that.
Yeah.
Yes, so
it should be on your screen now.
Yes, everyone, look at your screen. If we look at the numbers there, we look at these are from 2016, from election in 2016. We look at the numbers there. We look at Trump won in Wisconsin by 23,000 votes. But in Milwaukee, just one portion of Wisconsin, 93,000 Black people did not vote. Trump won in Florida, 113,000 votes. But in Miami, 379,000 Black people didn't vote. Trump won in Michigan by 11,000 votes. But in Detroit, 277,000 Black folks stayed home. Trump won in Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes. In Philadelphia, 238,000 Black people stayed home. Trump won in North Carolina by 173,000 votes. In Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, and Durham, 233,000 Black people decided to stay home. Trump won Georgia by 211,000 votes, but in Atlanta, 530,000 Blacks did not vote. These are alarming numbers. We have to stay woke. We have to stay diligent. We have to make sure that we're getting people to the polls. We have to understand that there are those before us who died for the right to vote. And we have to understand that we're educating people that there's a bigger picture. When people told me about Hillary Clinton, I say, you know what? It's not about Hillary, right? It's about the Supreme Court. It's about union rights. It's about human rights. It's about civil rights. It's about healthcare for poor communities. It's bigger. It's bigger than. Sorry, my battery on the laptop, but it's bigger than the candidate, right? It's about our survival. It's about our kids' survival. If we're preaching Black Lives Matter, if we're preaching Black Futures Matter, if we're talking to communities like the South Bronx, where Black and brown people have been deprived of some of the very vital essentials, we're not talking about the extras. We're talking about basic essentials, right? Basic living, things like food that everyone should have a right to. When we're talking about healthcare, things that everyone should have a right to. I think of communities like the South Bronx, because for me, I grew up in a community similar to that in the Bushwick community in Brooklyn. And I think of those children at this time that are in need. I was in the South Bronx at one of the feeding locations, and one of the workers there said, this lady walked up and she said she has 25 kids. Nobody has that many kids. And I said, at this time, I won't be the one to question whether she has kids or not. That's called reparations. I said, and people are really in need in this time of things like food, right? And so we have to educate people. We have to do a better job in educating. I will say to the candidates that are here, to Amanda and to Chantel, once in office, I will challenge you to educate your community. I've seen one elected official out of Brooklyn, Assemblywoman Diana Richardson. She does a monthly educational session with her constituents, in which she educates them as to the levels of what elected officials do in Congress, what do they do as an assembly member, what do they do as a member of the Senate and a member of the City Council. And she makes them aware of who everyone is, right, in the roles that they play. And I gotta be honest, I've been a lot of places. She's the only elected that I see do that, right? For whatever reason, right? People have their own basic ideas. But if we're talking about educating our communities on voting and things of that, there's a lot of people who don't vote because they don't know, right? They're not educated with some of the things that we've been educated with. So it becomes our responsibility to educate them. It becomes our obligation. 372 members who are on this call, as you are educated, is your responsibility and obligation. As you know who Chantel Jackson is and who Amanda Septimo is your responsibility now to bring those people to the polls, right? And to let them know from what you heard tonight, why these two candidates are the best candidates to vote for. Brother Michael Blake, it's important for you as members to inform your colleagues and others in your community as to who these candidates are. And so we make sure that good people get in positions of power, because the people are more powerful always than the people who are in power, right? But we want to make sure that we put the right people in office. And with that, now, Denise, I guess I can yield the meeting back to the microphone and the meeting back to Denise, the chair. And thank you all for having me. Gotta say, these Zoom meetings are actually good. I'm on a panel on another meeting. That's why I'm in and out. But if I was scheduled to be two places, I couldn't. But Zoom and this technology has made it possible. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Donald. The one thing that I wanted to say regarding that sheet that was put up, many times even educated, sometimes really educated young people who think that they're so educated and politically savvy, what happens is they say my vote doesn't count. I think that this is a really good tool to let them know, yeah, your vote count. It counts against yourself. You know, it's just really important that they understand that not voting doesn't mean your vote is not counting. It's counting on the other side. And that's what we have to really educate them, as simple as that might sound, because how many of you hear that? Sometimes when you talk to somebody about voting, it's like they think that their vote doesn't matter. So Chantel said earlier, we must steadfast. If we get on that line, or we take people with us to that line, that we tell them, we're not leaving this line. We're making a decision before we get there that we're not leaving until we cast our vote. So that's what we on this phone call need to make sure that we do. If we can all get a copy of that, if you want to use that to even speak to your family that might live in some of those states. Atlanta is the one that surprised me the most. There's so many businesses of color, business of minorities in Atlanta, that they would not vote, that they would not complete a census. It has to be, you either think you're not going to count, or you're not educated on the fact that that is important. Each and every vote counts. If you see how, when we see how the president, who our current administration is, 116 votes he won by, and more than that didn't vote in the communities that's our communities. We must let our people know that somehow. And I actually don't know how, other than just by word of mouth, sharing it with our family members, letting them know, especially if we have family in Florida, call Florida. They have a new program, or a new movement that we're doing, where we're using only Black businesses, you know, where we're purchasing from Black businesses, find a Black cleaners, find a Black laundromat. I don't know if you all heard, I didn't know, but Lowe's, the CEO is a Black man. So if we normally go to Home Depot, we should go to Lowe's first, you know, and do business there. These are things that we have to learn, and we have to share when we find out, so that we are, money talks, you know, money speaks. So if we can take our dollars, our minority dollars, and put them back in our minority businesses, they're going to feel it. Martin Luther King did that with the bus. We wanted to ride as we chose to ride. He said, let's not ride it. And they stopped riding it, and they got what they were fighting for. But we have to be willing to stand and stand and stand and stand. And we're going to have to educate our fellow sisters and brothers that that's what we have to do. Once we say we're going to do it, we can't give up, because that's what they're hoping, that we give up. Like if they close the doors and you can't get in, you say, okay, I can't get in, I'm going to go back home. We can't do that. We can't afford to do that.
Denise, can I speak to that slide, to the slide you just showed?
Yes, please.
So I just want, I want to put out there that Black people are not the reason for Trump winning. I don't want anyone to feel like that's what we're saying. We just want people to know that we need every Black voter to vote. And to be quite clear, no matter how much we try to educate people, we have people in office, Republicans who have been, we talked about voter suppression earlier in this call. Voter suppression is real. So even when we show up to vote, it's never made this hard for white people in white neighborhoods. It's not made this hard. Their machines are working. They're not in line for 3 hours.
Absolutely.
They don't have to go through the things that we have to go through in order to just cast a vote. And so I don't want anyone to leave here thinking like, oh, the Trump is in office because of Black people. It's not necessarily that. This is a system that's created so that our vote does not matter, that our vote is not casted. And I want to make sure that I said that. And also we want our candidates to be people that are not the lesser of two evils. We want candidates who speak to us, who are here for us, who are going to fight for us, who are going to advocate for us. I don't want to pick somebody because they're not Trump. I want to pick somebody because I know that they understand reparations is a necessity, that they know that poor neighborhoods need funding. Like I need them to know that and have a clear plan on how they're going to fix that. I don't want to pick somebody because they're not Trump. And that's the same thing that we should be experiencing at our local, state, city elections. Like you should not be picking somebody because they're not somebody else. We need to pick somebody who cares about us, who are going to fight for us. Just like how 372 comes out and fight for their members, we want to make sure we have that kind of fight in the people that we're electing. And so I wanted to make sure I said that before I move on to anything else. Amanda, is there anything that I forgot or you need to add?
I mean, honestly, I think that slide was surprising to me. I didn't know those numbers. And I think, to Chantel's point, it's not about us being to blame for Trump, right? It's not about Black people being to blame. But honestly, when I saw that slide, the first thing I thought of was like, wow, that is incredible power. If we could all realize the incredible power that we have to really move forward leadership that is, like Chantel said, committed to our agenda, committed to our communities in a real way. How different could this world be? How different could our country be? And I think that's the conversation that I'm excited to keep having all the way to November, on the state, on the federal, on the local level, and especially on the presidential, because I think we all know what we're getting at this point. And now I'm excited to call the people, like you said, that I know in those places or in those political organizations and say, what are you doing to make sure that people know that there is this incredible power that we're leaving on the table? And how do we make sure we don't do that?
And we need block voting, like just like how the unions come out and we say we're supporting this candidate. We as a whole need to come together and start voting as a block and deciding that these are the people who are going to represent us and take care of us.
I like that.
And then I just want to point out, because Donald mentioned something about Diana, and we love Diana Richardson. Today, and like most days, I have organized a voting forum for my young people. So I work in a high school, and they asked for just a forum on how to vote. And that's exactly what I did today. I made sure that I put together some slides, and these are young people that are going to vote for the very first time. So I walked them through who's on the ballot, how the 3 ways you can vote, either absentee, early, or on election day. And so even though it's at that small community, a small school level, this is something that we all could be doing, right? I have the slides, I'm willing to share them, but it's a matter of like, do what you can do. Do what's in your power. You don't need to be an elected official to do this kind of work. All you need is the information, the access, and to just give it out to the masses. Everyone's using social media. We need to be using it for this purpose.
And to that same point, Chantel, myself, and a few other ladies are also getting together to do this series called Civics on the Block, where we plan to just hang out on the corner and talk to people, give them information. I think in this first one, we're going to be talking about the census. We're going to be talking about the absentee voting process, the election on June 23rd. But we've talked about continuing it even after the election, so that people, again, can recognize their power, can recognize the role that they play in these large systems that shape every part of our life. And none of us are elected yet, right? And we're all looking forward to just doing what we can, like Chantel said, and finding we find each other. My theory is that good people doing good work always find each other. Finding the other people who are also committed to the same work and the same principles and willing to do what they can, and partnering up and making sure that, one step at a time, we start to have this bigger impact in our community.
So I want to thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Chantel, and thank Michael Blake. I know he had to leave. And thank our president, our executive vice president, and especially all of you that's on here. And I'd like to give my co-chair, Michelle Dunstan, an opportunity to comment on our night tonight. So if you could unmute her for a minute, we're pretty close to time. We're at 7:16, so we're close enough. So Michelle?
Yes, good evening. What a great meeting. You did a great job, and welcome, and thank you, Amanda and Chantel. I'm rooting for you. You were working hard. As I've become the co-chair of that organization, we have not made a mistake when we endorse people. They do their homework, and we usually pick the right person. And hearing you guys tonight, I know we got the right ones, and we'll be working hard with you because we're on the move. I am so proud of our young people. I know I'm saying like I'm an old lady, but I'm older than you ladies. And so you guys are our new champions. Yes. And you have a whole rally. I'm sorry that it took his death to motivate us, but they're tired. I was worried for our young people at one time. Now I know that they are paying attention, okay? And they have the attention. So while we have them, we have to make sure that we put the right laws and legislations in progress right now. They just gonna try to put a Band-Aid on it. But I don't want us to stop marching. I don't want us to stop going forward until we get everything that we supposed to have. So we're in your corner. Thank you for joining us. We'll be working hard to get you there, you know. And thank you, Denise. You did a great job. And thanks, everyone. I miss you all. I miss seeing you. God bless y'all. You have a good evening. Prayer changes things. And we're going to continue to pray and continue to do the work, keep them boots on the ground. We stay ready so we don't have to get ready.
All
Have a
right.
good night.
So I have a lot of notes coming in, and I appreciate all the notes that's coming down there, and especially from Imogene, our secretary, who's doing a great job. She is, a lot of the questions I want you to know came from Imogene, you know, so great job, Imogene. Thank you. And I just want to, before James calls me again, I want to just make sure that we remember the things. There's so much going on in our world right now, and there's so much to address, but it's important that we incorporate it all, because we have to address our COVID-19. Many of us are staying home. Many of us are on the front line. We're working. We're all experiencing something that we've never experienced before. And we need to recognize that because this is an election year, that we must keep people focused, because it's so easy to be, voting becomes unimportant to people, even though it's, as we know, the most important piece. But what happens is people are concentrating on how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to, I don't have a job, I need a job. We know that we have all of that stuff going on right now, but voting and the census is very, very important. And we must keep that conversation going. But in that conversation, we must remember the sensitivity of different people. People have lost their parents, people have lost their grandparents, people have lost children. So in the conversation that we have with people, talking about voting and talking about census, we must be sensitive to the fact that there are other things, emotional things that's going on. So I just want to say that. I'm sure we all know that, but not everybody knows that. And we want to remember that, because it's important. If there are any burning questions, because again, it's 7:20, which is the time that our meeting was supposed to be coming to an end. So I think we're doing pretty great. If there's any burning question for Amanda or for Chantel, if you would raise your hand, we'll see the hand up, and James will unmute you. Maybe we'll take one or two questions from our audience. Would that be okay? If anybody has anything. Whoa, pretty cool, Amanda and Chantel. That means you told them everything.
Perfect.
So,
Can I add something, Denise? So I just want to add that this election is not in the bag, right? Michael got a lot of endorsements. I received a lot of endorsements, and Amanda has a good victory in November. But this election is not in the bag. We are not across the finish line. So we need all the help we can possibly get. And I need everyone to stay safe. So if being safe means being home and just making some phone calls 1 hour a day, we need it. I'm begging everyone to assist us with helping out. If you only have an hour, if you're willing to come out with us and hand out lit, we need the help. We need the support of our union, because I don't trust anyone else in my race to be in the assembly seat, and I don't trust anyone else in the race against Michael to be in Congress. So I'm telling you guys, we absolutely 100% need your support. You can go to chanteljackson.com, blakeforcongress.nyc. Please help us out. We are not out of the clear.
So Chantel, just to be clear, if I have an hour that I want to make phone calls, how would I get the numbers to make phone calls? email you?
Yes, so if you go to chanteljackson.com, and I put that in the chat a few times,
Right.
CHANTEL Jackson.com, we have a volunteer sign up on our website, and Blake has the same thing as well. So either one, Blake's congressional districts, my assembly district sits entirely inside Blake's congressional district. So anyone who calls from the 79th will be assisting both of us.
And I just want to explain, it's been 3 weeks. I was running against Carmen Arroyo in the 84th Assembly District for the Democratic primary that's coming up on June 23rd. But we'd actually discovered that her campaign was committing some pretty serious fraud, and we took her to court to make sure we were holding them accountable. And the court actually decided to remove her from the ballot. And so that's why I don't have a primary anymore on June 23rd. And we'll be moving forward to the November election as the Democratic nominee. And
Yes!
Chantel's laughing because it's still unbelievable. I'm still in shock, but we are really excited. And we're happy that, rules apply to everyone. And if you can't play fair, then you can't play. And we're excited to move on. And so I just wanted to explain that that's why we're not asking for help right now, because we want everybody to focus on the races that need to be won right now, like Chantel's and like Michael's. And thank you to everyone for congratulations.
I love Amanda.
So, Mr. President, I'd like to call for an adjournment,
Yeah, Denise, if I may, can I say?
Please, Donald.
Let me say this. I know we are at a moment. This is a movement, not a moment. And I know Jock is definitely going to say again, D, you're on the road tonight. But I'm going to quote to end off the meeting, a quote from, not to end off the meeting, President Francois just unmuted, so he'll be going after me, right, to end off the meeting. That will be appropriate. But I'll say I have been listening to a whole lot of posts from different people in the last couple of days, and I pulled up something from Minister Farrakhan from the early 90s. And this was something that he said on a TV show, and I want to say it to Amanda and to Chantel and to Michael tonight. He said, and this is relevant today because there are some people who are saying, well, we shouldn't be saying Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, right? And I got something to say to them, right? In the words of Minister Farrakhan, he says, white people fear violence from us. He said, I question that. We don't have a history of killing white people. White people have a history of killing us. What fear is a deep guilt. You're afraid that Black people in power would do what has been done to us. And so I say to you two sisters and to Michael, we don't kill people, right? We kill them in the legislative halls. We win elections. And you all have already won, right? You're going to go there and prove them wrong. But this is what they fear. They fear sisters like you getting into those legislative halls and making true change for Black people. And I say Black people, people may say, why not Black, Latino, why not Black and brown? We quote this, but we all understand where we're from, right? We just got dropped off in different places. And that's just our reality, right? We speak different languages, but we have our roots in one place. And you two are what they fear. And I'm so proud to that you two will be there representing the people. And with that said, President Francois, I think he's actually on his other meeting, right? Him and I are juggling two meetings at the same time. But he's on an educational panel for you that don't know. He's on an educational advisory panel to reopen schools in New York City. And so he's juggling both. I'm actually on a panel where representing New York City.
What's up?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. So,
There's President Francois. I was telling them, Prez, that both of us are juggling two things. He's on the educational panel advisory committee, which is very more important than what I'm doing. But I'm actually on a panel as well representing us in the city. Everyone on this panel is talking about educational equity, but they're all from upstate, Orange County, Albany. I'm the only one from New York City. Some of them are my classmates from Cornell University, but we're speaking on education. With that said, President Francois, both of us, Zoom has really changed technology, right? President Francois, we juggling more than one.
Let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. There've been a lot of times where we've done it. And physically, Donald and I, some of us members here, some of our executive board members, we've done 2 or 3 meetings in one night. We've had to do it. But I'll be honest with you, they say sometimes when things become negative, there's always a positive that comes from it. So being this happened, I'm thinking the participation, the conveniency of having to do multiple meetings. I mean, I'm doing 2 right now, for God's sake. Who can do 2 meetings physically at one time like that? So doing 2 meetings, and people say, how can you concentrate on one? How can you concentrate on this? I can chew gum and walk at the same time. That's why. You know what I'm saying? That's why I can do that, because know when to hold them, know when to fold them. I know where to do this part. I know to do this part. I heard Donald say about doing something, and I heard that. So I said, pause on this one, and I came on this side. You know what I'm saying? If I hit on this side, okay, I'm pausing on this side, and I'm going this side. It all depends on what's going on. I'm talking all the time. Somebody else is talking right now, so somebody's talking now over here as we're speaking. But anyway, what I'm saying to you that we got to make sure that we use the platform for what it is. We use it for the best interest that we can. Because let me tell you, 2021, this is going to be the new norm. Everybody's going to go digital. That's what we've been talking about. Even before the pandemic started, people started talking about doing virtual meetings because, as you notice, a lot of meetings, a lot of unions, participation was getting lack. So people want to figure out what's the best way now to have participation, because you got people got second jobs, they got to babysit, whatever the case may be, they have personal issues. So this year will be the new norm. So people need to learn it, get used to it, because this is new. It's going to be a new way of life, and I love it because I'm able to double task and do things at one time. I get to see you folks. I don't see you folks no more, so I get to see you folks as well. See, all the time. Faces, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. So now we're going to ask if there's any new business. Anybody? New business, seeing none, hearing none. Old business? Anybody, old business? Good and welfare. Anybody good and welfare? Lynette, can you unmute Lynette for a minute? No, wait. Can you unmute her? Okay. Good and welfare, Lynette.
Tomorrow, right, is our DC 37 political action meeting that we're going to be participating in. We hope everyone will come and join us again with our executive vice president as the chair of that committee. No?
No.
This is civic service tomorrow.
No, yeah, Lynette, those meetings are going to be scheduled differently. I know everyone has the second Thursday on their calendar, but because of COVID-19, we have scheduled them differently. So everyone who is a participant and is on the mailing list or email list, the notifications will go out accordingly that way. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Well, tomorrow we do have another meeting, right, with the Anthony Wells committee meeting. There's a meeting tomorrow night with the civil service. That's on Zoom tomorrow at 6 p.m. So we have the information that was sent in the chat. It says June 11th, 6 p.m. for the Civil Service Committee meeting. It's scheduled tomorrow.
Is it ID number?
Yeah.
Is that in the chat?
It should be in the chat, but
okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
she's
the
going to put it
ID
in the
number.
chat for us. Is there any other good and welfare? Anybody? Going once? Going twice?
It's just saying click on the link below. It doesn't have it has a
Once again, we want to thank Chantel for being with us and Amanda. And of
Thank
course,
you.
Michael in his absence, but we really appreciate you and we support you 100%. I will be emailing to see when I can do an hour, maybe an hour a day up until June 23rd to make some phone calls, okay?
Thank you all.
At this time, we're going to, oh, you see the information in there? At this time, I'm going to ask for adjournment.
Let me remind everyone, Denise, stay connected with Local 372 at Facebook, Local 372, Instagram, we're on there, Local 372 Labor Union, YouTube, Local 372, you will get updates. Text Local 372 to 56525 or log on to www.local372.org for more information. Thank you.
Twitter, you forgot about Twitter.
Where? I don't see Twitter.
I said you forgot about it.
Okay, you could set that up, Lynette. That's the obligation I was talking about earlier.
I see you on there, Donald. And Mr. President.
Thank you all. We had a total of 88 people still on. So we did very well tonight, Mr. President. 88 people. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing everybody soon. I look forward to seeing our two young ladies in office. So
Yes,
yeah,
we'll see you in Albany.
yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you all so
Thank
much.
you, Jackie. You know, you have many people in the background that did a lot. We got Sunny, we got Jackie, we got Jock, and we got oh my God, James. That's my son's name. We got James. So thank you all for everything.
Text me that
Look
information
forward to
tomorrow.
our next meeting.
Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Did we get an adjournment? Did we get
Annette Murphy.
okay, one. We have second? Jackie. Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Okay, all against? Want to stay online tonight? Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good
night.
night. Good night.
Lynette,
Thank you, Sunny.
Yes.
text me that information.
Okay.
Civil service, text it to me.
Okay. I'll text it to you right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Bye,
you.
all.
Good night.
Night.
Good job, Denise. Good job, everybody.
you.
Michelle,
Good night.
good job, everybody.